Hey everybody, welcome, welcome. You are here for another EduLaunch party. And I am here with Heather Lyon. I'm so excited about this because for so many reasons. First of all, Heather and I are we're like professional soul sisters, and we have so much in common professionally. I just love it. And so I love having conversations with her. But her book and the title, like, I can't wait to talk about this. I'm so excited. So congratulations, Heather, on your launch, first of all.
Thank you.
And second of all, why don't you introduce yourself for everybody?
So I'm Heather Lyon. I am the author of Education is Not a Unicorn, It's a Narwhal. That's kind of what I do for fun. I've written this for fun. And my day job, I am an assistant superintendent of curriculum instruction and technology in a school district up in Western New York where I live. And then, but at home, nobody calls me Heather or Dr. Lyon. They call me Mom. So I have 3 kids and a husband who is sometimes my 4th child.
Aren't they all, really?
Don't tell him I said that. That's between us.
It's a secret. That's awesome. And we're just going to jump right into it a little bit. So can you give us some information about, like, what is the book about?
Yes. So, because we're professional soul sisters, that in this profession of education, we use the term engagement all the time. We say, make sure that your lessons are engaging. Make sure the students are engaged. Are the students engaged? Was that homework engaging? And we're using that word all the time. And there's this belief, I think, that we all know that what we're talking about, or that we're talking about the same thing. And I don't think that we are. And so the book is really written to establish consistency about engagement, because I think some people think of it like a light switch, like you're either engaged and it's on, or you're not engaged and it's off. But for me, it's more like a dial, like on a dimmer switch. And so I created what I call an engagement continuum, so that there are 4 markers along that dimmer switch of engagement. So it goes from, if the lights are out, it's non-compliant, and then as it gets brighter, it goes to compliant, and then you get to interested, and then finally absorbed is the brightest level of engagement. And I kind of took that and I turned it into a 2x2 matrix, because I realized that there were commonalities between what can help someone shift along that continuum. Because it's not enough to say, oh yeah, that person is disengaged or non-compliant. What are the features of being non-compliant that are different from being compliant that would help someone make that shift to a higher level of engagement? That was a lot.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And so one of the reasons that I say we're professional soul sisters is because we do talk about engagement as something different than other, a lot of times people are like, well, that teacher's not engaged in their professional development, or that student's not engaged in their learning. And that might be true, but it's deeper than that. Like, it's something that, it's not just a very surface level. They're not paying attention, which I think is sometimes what people equate it to. It's a how engrossed are they in everything from activity in them
Yes.
to their profession. And so that's what I love about your work, is because it really does take that idea of engagement away from whoever at whatever age level paying attention to what we're doing. And it's more than that. And I love that piece of it.
Thank you. Yeah. So in the, especially with the matrix, so picture a 2x2, like a window pane, right? So along the horizontal, you have someone's relationship to the task. And so do they have a low relationship with the task or a high relationship with the task? And then along the vertical, think of what is their relationship with the person assigning the task or the consequence they get for doing the task. So that's the extrinsic piece of things. And so if you have a low relationship with the task and a low relationship with the extrinsic, meaning the people or the thing that you get for doing the task, you are going to be non-compliant, because it's like, I don't care about this thing that I'm supposed to do. I don't care about the person who's asking me to do it, and I don't care about the consequence, positive or negative, that I'm going to get for doing it. That's what non-compliance is. And so when you understand that that's what non-compliance is, it's I don't care about this task that I'm doing, and I don't care about the extrinsic features related to it, then you can say, oh, well then how can I get them to care more about the task, or how can I get them to care more about me and the assignment that I provided, or so that's the relationship, or the consequence they get for doing the task. So, you know, some people need some extrinsic motivation to get started. The problem is that as we shift from non-compliance to compliance, which is a true victory, like when you can get somebody to go from not doing the thing to doing the thing, that feels really great. But we often stop there, we accept compliance with the behaviors and non-compliance with the learning in schools. So as long as kids are quiet and leaving the teacher and other students alone, teachers just will carry on with what it is that they're doing. And kids learn that so early. So like in a kindergarten classroom, when the teacher is in a small reading group, right? And so the teacher says, I'm going to be over here. You guys need to do this, whatever this is, independently, play your game, read your book, whatever the case may be. The teacher will position him or herself to face the kids so that, you know, it's the whole I'm watching you thing. But the kids know, as long as I'm quiet, it doesn't matter if I'm really doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And so, kids learn that in kindergarten. So for sure, first through 12th graders know it. College kids know it. They know that if I'm in a classroom and the teacher is always calling on kids who raise their hand, I need to raise my hand once and I can then be out of that situation. The teacher's never going to call on me again. So actually the easiest thing to do in classes, if there is one thing that I would recommend to up engagement, it's to stop calling on volunteers. Get equity sticks, write kids' names on those popsicle sticks, get some dice, get a spinner, something, but stop calling on kids because they're volunteering. Keep them on their toes. They should always be ready to be called on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like so much of that. I mean, I always think about it in the terms of teachers, but of course, teachers think about it in the terms of students, right? And I think about how often, you know, what you're saying about the quiet kids, and how often, even as a teacher, my quiet kids slid under the radar all the time because they weren't the ones demanding attention. Even with my own kids at home, your quiet ones, they pretty much do whatever they want to do. Because your own kids would just learn if they were just quiet. They could do whatever they wanted to do.
Right?
You know, it's that noisy middle child that's always, you know, the noisy first child that's getting all the attention. Yeah, that's so funny and it's so interesting. So one of the things I really, really want to talk about, I know everybody is here to learn this. This is like the question of the century. I have to get back to my little thing here. How did you come up with that amazing title?
You are really kind, because I lost sleep over that amazing title, because I really, it started off with something really, I don't know, vanilla, which is like the engagement framework. And honestly, it was through a conversation that I had with Dave Burgess, who wrote Teach Like a Pirate. And I was telling him about how partially through the writing of this book, I hit a wall because the book is formatted so that it's in sections. So it starts off with the engagement framework and just establishing what that's all about. But then it's divided into what, so what, and now what. So so in the what is noncompliance, compliance, interest, and absorption. And then the so what is, so why does that matter at all? And then the now what are strategies of how to get someone from non-compliant to compliance, from from compliance to interested, and then interested to absorbed. So I'm, writing the book. I'm feeling really great about this, and then I get to the section where I have to write strategies of how to get people from being interested to absorbed. And absorbed is a really high bar. It means I'm doing the task because I want to do it. And we can all think of times when there are tasks that we do because we want to do them outside of school. But if I were to ask you or any of the people who are here watching this, which by the way, I could be brought to tears thinking about the fact that there are people who are, watching this and joining us right now, but I'll stop. If I were to ask you guys, hey, tell me about a time when you were absorbed in school, when you were doing a task that you really wanted to do, that the grade didn't matter to you. Like you were so connected to whatever you were asked to do that you would do it just to do it. And that doesn't happen a lot in school. So I hit a wall because I was like, maybe I am full of it. Maybe this idea about absorption in school is like theoretically that makes sense, but in practice it doesn't make sense. And so I run in good weather. I'm a fair weather runner, and I was running and I was thinking about it, and it occurred to me, you know what? Engagement in schools can be thought of like a unicorn, in that people know what a unicorn is, even though it's fake. And so unicorns don't really exist. So maybe engagement in schools is like a unicorn. It doesn't really exist. But no, it's like a narwhal. It exists, but not everybody knows about it. And it's rare, but it can happen. And so just like a whale can grow a horn and look like this, like a dolphin and a unicorn had a baby. That's a real thing. And so the title, I was telling Dave Burgess about this, and he was like, that is really good. I hope you find a way to use that in your title. And so it was for a little while the engagement narwhal, and I thought that was a little too abstract. And so my reviewers who read my work, I asked them for some options, or I gave them some options, and this was the winner. And so they really helped me with it. So that is the long story about how the title came to be.
That's amazing. And I'm not going to lie, I had to actually look up to see if a narwhal was a real thing. And I found out it was. So I learned something right off the bat. Yes. Right away I learned something. Narwhals are a real thing.
And that's exactly the point, is that you didn't have to look up unicorn, even though unicorns are mythical. And so we're not going to find a unicorn in a classroom. Classroom unicorns, and go to my website, lionsletters.com, and if you look at my post from yesterday, which was T-2, 1, it gives the chart that I share in the book of comparison between a unicorn and a narwhal and what you would see in a classroom. So like unicorns in a classroom are like kids applauding, oh my God, that was such a great lesson, teacher, thank you. That's a unicorn. But there are real life examples of what narwhals in classrooms would look like. And it would look like kids like asking for more time to do the learning. But the thing is that we have to give kids the opportunity to do that. If we don't create classrooms where they have choice and voice and opportunity to like contribute and say what they want to learn about, then let's not be surprised that we only get them to interested. I probably should also say at this moment too that that interest should be the level that we're aiming for in classrooms, not necessarily absorbed, because it is impossible for any human being to be intrinsically motivated to learn all things all the time. Like, I don't want to do that. When I was in school, I was interested in what I was learning about by and large, but there weren't, for every classroom every day, things that I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And then the bell rings and I'm like, oh my God, this other thing is so awesome. Even when we were in college, right, and we got to pick our classes and this and that, it still wasn't that way. So, Narwhals, it's on page 166 in the book. When you buy the book, you'll be able to see it. But like, engagement as a narwhal is students feeling proud of their own work, not students applauding and thanking the teacher. It's things like teachers have some resources, but the students seek out and provide their own resources as part of the learning process. Whereas the unicorn is teachers have endless amounts of resources to add bells and whistles to the lessons to entice students into learning. But that's unrealistic. That's not what I'm talking about.
Sure. Yeah. And I think, when we talk about it, to bring it back to teacher engagement a little bit, because we've talked about this too, from a standpoint of being engaged in what you're doing and in your profession. That's also something that's not going to happen all the time. And we have these unrealistic expectations of what complete engagement looks like and complete absorption in your work looks like. And that's not realistic. People can't do that. And there's going to be times that they slide back into something that they're not quite as interested in, and that goes for adults and children, no matter if we're talking about professional learning or engagement in your job or learning in the classroom. To hold it to that high of a standard that it's always going to be like that, it's never going to work. You're just going to be disappointed every time. And I think, making a realistic, like setting the bar realistically is a way to, to keep that engagement going, honestly.
Yes. And so when I read a passage tonight, I'm going to connect to exactly what you're saying, because the beauty of the engagement framework that I created is that it is not student-specific, it is not school-specific, it is human-specific. And so I don't care what profession you're in, I don't care, if you have kids or you don't, that framework will make sense to you. You don't need the strategies if you're doing accounting, but but you can wrap your head around.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. I love that. So Desmond says that he totally believed in narwhals because of the movie Elf.
Right.
So everybody gets their information from different spots.
The narwhal is in the beginning of Elf when he goes off to New York City. For the swirly twirly whatever it was. I do.
Yeah, that's right. All right, well, you have your first guest knocking at your door. She's been pounding on it for the last 4 minutes, so I want to make sure that she gets in here. So we're going to invite in, and I hope I say her name right, it's Melissa Lyon, Supervisor of Instructional Programs. So we're going to invite Melissa in. How are you, Melissa?
Oh, no.
Oh, we can't hear your audio.
I will say, working on her audio, that Melissa is my person. She is, if you are my professional soul sister, she is my life soul sister. But I do have to do a shout out to my my biological sister, Emily Schulteis, who is on too. And so XOXO, Annie.
Yeah, you have a couple family members on. I noticed your mom was on there. She said, I had put her up before. She said she's so proud of you. So it was really, really sweet. Here we go. Karen.
Yep, there she
Yeah, so
is.
you have a few family members on here. Yeah, that's so nice. Yeah, well, Melissa's working on her audio, so we're going to
Okay.
we'll bring her back on as soon as she gets that going. And for now, do you want to do your author's read?
Yeah, sure. So
Okay, let's do that.
I'm reading from page 68 in the book, and it's in the chapter called Interested What. So this is, remember, it's what, so what, now what? So this is just understanding this level of engagement. So another key feature of being interested is that those who are at this level of engagement are motivated extrinsically. If you recall, in figure 2.1, simplified response to the task, person, or consequence at each level of the engagement framework, it identified that those who are interested like the task and like or respect the person who assigned the task. Additionally, their feelings towards the payment for doing the task are, I could do this for pay, meaning that they still want compensation for their efforts. This is a key distinction for the interest level of engagement of the engagement matrix. Interested people need an extrinsic reward for doing the task. This explains why students will stop doing something if their grade goes away. Students who do interesting work want a grade. If the grade is off the table, they will move on to other things that are going to be graded despite the fact that they are interested in the work. Yes, interested students will stop doing interesting and even enjoyable work if they are not rewarded by a grade for doing the work. How many people, kids or not, would do the extra credit for fun? Don't worry, they would say, about adding this onto my grade or paycheck. The joy of doing it was all I needed. If people are expected to do the work, they expect to be paid in return. As such, in most cases, if you remove the grade for students, the students will shift their attention to something that is graded. Once that work is finished, the students will ultimately move on to things they find absorbing, and that will most likely not be something studied in school. This is not to say that people cannot find absorption in schoolwork. It simply means that this is less likely or nearly impossible to happen when what has been officially studied is dictated externally to the person who is doing the work. I am surprised at how difficult it is for adults to understand this concept regarding students, and yet how easy it becomes when I switch the example to adults. Think about things you do as an adult that are the enjoyable parts of your work. I'm not talking about the things that fuel your soul. I'm talking about run-of-the-mill things that are a part of the work you do. For example, think about professional development or PD. Most people I know are not fans of useless PD, but can get excited about attending a session they find valuable for their work. Yet what if I told you that this PD was on a Saturday, or after work, or to attend you had to pay with your own money, or to attend you needed to use a personal day? Would you still go? If you answered yes, then you're likely beyond interested in this topic. You're absorbed. If you said no, then this topic was only at the interest level. You want extrinsic compensation for your attendance, and your compensation is your pay and or time. Students are the same way. Though they may be interested in the various projects, assignments, and or topics you are studying in class, if they do not continue to learn or do more after the point that the unit, lesson, or period is over, then it doesn't matter how engaged they were during the task. They were only interested. Let me make this even clearer. Think about your job as a whole. Whatever that job is, you call it your job because you get paid to do it. I sincerely hope you're at least at the interested level in relation to your job, but here's a way to tell if you're not beyond the interested level. How do you feel on Friday afternoon when you leave work for the weekend? Are you looking forward to having time away from work, or do you work for fun on Saturday and Sunday? On Sunday evening, as the work week approaches, do you wish you could extend your weekend so that you have more time not working, or are you itching to get back to work? If you're like most people, you probably like and hopefully even love your job, but on the weekend, you'd rather not do your work. If that sounds like you, then you are interested in your work, not absorbed. If you're at the level of compliance, the question you would ask is, if all jobs paid the same amount, what would I want to get paid to do? this is a fundamentally different question than the one you would ask to determine absorption, which is, even if I needed to make money, what would I still pay to do? So again, that brings it back to our conversation earlier of this is not about kids and school. This framework really works for all human beings. Whoops.
I muted myself, so I wasn't distracting you. I feel like with all of the comments and everything, I feel like you should have had a mic that you dropped, because it's so true. Everything you said, and everything's so relatable, because you can think of those kids and you can think back to those times in school when you were interested or you were absorbed in something, and yeah, I absolutely love that. And I love the examples because they're very relatable in real life. So thank you so much for the author's read. The author's read is my favorite part. Everybody knows that. I say it every time. And we have Melissa. She's back. And we're gonna bring her in and let's see what's going on. Here we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yay!
All right. We can hear you now. Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you get a chance to read the book?
I did. Twice.
And she got to hear about the whole process of creating it, and she took my picture there.
I'm the camera person and all around the person.
Nice. Very good. So what did you think of the book and even the process overall?
So I will first say that I'm just super excited for Heather, because I think this is the perfect opportunity for her to bring her talent to other people. I mean, I've been able to know Heather for over 20 years, although we connected in the past. You know, it took about 8 years for us to catch up again, but really allows her to connect her talents with just the communication and input, and just being super inquisitive and taking all that and bringing it together for her immense love and passion for education. And so I'm really proud of the work that she's done. And as an educator and as someone who teaches other educators, I just can't wait to bring it to other educators so that we can learn this important work together.
Yeah, I love that. And did you have like a favorite part of the book or a part that really resonated with you?
Yeah, well, I know how there's kids, so like all those little parts which are really engaging in the book, I love those. But you know, the other thing, other than being an educator, I'm also a mom, and so I have a child he's 15 now, and he's super intelligent and fun and spunky, but he hates school. And this book has, when Heather and we've talked about it every day, even when she was writing it and everything. But I remember her coming to me and saying, you know, what would you say engagement is? And, you know, we can look to other research and talk about it, but to really define it in the way that she did, what my favorite part of the book is really giving me that metric and the language to talk about engagement in such a way. So there was a light bulb and an aha moment, because I talked with my friends' teachers so often about, okay, what can we do? How can we give him a strategy to get him more excited about school or more engaged in school? And really what I was able to do when I read Heather's book was look at that continuum and look at those examples and say, oh my gosh, he is what Heather calls a non-compliant child, a non-compliant student. And so all I need to say to the teachers is, you need a relationship with him. Like, this is what you need. And it's so easy for me to like just take a look at that, and that light bulb went off, and then just go to teachers, oh, there's this book I need you to read. If you really want to engage the child, here's this book that you need to read.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that perspective because I didn't think of it, in that, that way of being like a mom and talking to a teacher and saying, here's the issue. You may need to do this in order to engage that child. Because I also had a son who I have very compliant children, but my one son did not like school at all. I mean,
It's hard.
he thought a lot of stuff. Yeah, he thought a lot of stuff was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he actually made a joke one time about learning imaginary numbers and how they were going to be dissecting unicorns the next day. And like, I mean, he was good in school. He was a straight A student, just did not like it. And even as parents, so we want those things, those little hooks, to get our kids engaged as well. So I love that perspective. That's fantastic. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that you were able to be with us today and that we were able to hear all the important things that you had to say. Thanks for being here. And
Heather starts dropping her knowledge bombs on everybody because there's so much more there. But thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure to meet you. Have a good night.
The bombs that I might be dropping on people. my mom's on this, so I won't say the other types of bombs that I might drop.
No, we won't talk about those ones.
That's for the after dark launch.
Yeah,
that's for the after dark party.
Melissa, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Melissa. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
That's so funny.
That point about... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, your knowledge bomb. So we have more coming. Is that what I'm hearing?
I am. So when I pitched this book to Sarah, an EduMatch, I was like, I have this book, and I didn't realize that you don't have to write a full book in order to like pitch your book. So I first, and I also initially I was thinking, I could self-publish, but then I decided, well, I'll give myself a year to see if anybody wants to publish my book. I would, that would be good too. But I didn't set out to write a book on strategies because there's so many strategy books that are out there. And so I was writing a book that would help you look at strategies in a new way, and a purposeful way. Because, you can buy a book that says, 1,001 engagement strategies, but what good is that if you don't understand what engagement means? But I thought, the strategies would be the thing that people would be most interested in. So I thought I should probably have some strategies in there. And I realized that I had more strategies than I could include in one book because this book is already 300 pages. So I am working already on a companion book to this book that is just strategies. It's like, getting the box of Lucky Charms and realizing there are only marshmallows in there. But in that process, I have reached out to others who are smarter than I am for their knowledge bombs to include in the book. So they're going to be in the companion book, there are going to be more strategies from me, but also I have had the wonderful opportunity to collaborate with other people to include strategies. So Melissa is going to have at least one strategy in there. And then the other people who are the guest stars tonight are also contributing to the next book. So I'm really excited that they're able to join.
That's awesome.
And I love collaboration.
It's almost like a sneak peek.
Yes. What I have realized now in this process of working on the second book and reaching out to people is that A, people are humble, and B, everybody has at least one thing that they can do that would either help a student grow from non-compliance to compliance, or compliance to interested, or to absorbed. And all you have to do is ask. So it's really exciting to know that there are so many people out there and so many strategies that are out there that all you have to do is, like, you know, pick up the rock and look, and it's there hiding, because people are modest.
Yeah, that's awesome. But don't you think too that even collaboration in itself is an engagement strategy? I feel like,
because, oh my gosh,
you know, I think I you know, as I'm thinking about it, as what you were saying before, my extrinsic motivator would be to help other people. That is my main. Like, if I had to pick one extrinsic motivator, that would be my main extrinsic motivation, is helping other people. And I feel like in collaboration, you naturally do that. So collaboration itself would be an engagement strategy, right?
Right. And so, because again, if we're thinking about the horizontal framework, or the horizontal axis of the framework, the first piece of that is your relationships with others. And so because there are things that we will only do for people who we love and care about. And so, no, I'm not going to do this, but grandma asked me to do this. I'll do this for grandma. Why? Because I love grandma. And so, you know, I wrote about in the book that I'll go see a cartoon movie if my children want to see it. That's not because I necessarily want to see that cartoon movie. It's because I love my kids, and so I'll do that for them. And in school, that means that students will work a lot harder, even if it's just compliantly. They don't love the task, but they feel like the teacher who has assigned them the task cares about them, and so they want to please that person. Again, I don't want that stopping point. We should not be happy just because other people are trying to make us happy. That's not enough. We want them to be happy too in that process of doing that task. And so that sometimes means that we have to change the task. And I think as teachers, we all get locked into, well, this is the assignment, like a capital T, capital A, the assignment. Like, there's only one way to get that learning accomplished. But we need to go back to what is the destination about the learning, like what do the standards say, or what is it, the outcome of the learning supposed to be? Because my guess is there are a multitude of ways to achieve that outcome that could be more than just the single graphic organizer or this test or whatever the case may be. And the reality is that most teachers who are teaching in a way that says this is the assignment are probably only being compliant themselves. They're not probably interested and definitely not absorbed in their work if they're saying this is all there is.
I love you so much.
And
you're one of my favorite people. Okay.
But this is why the subtitle of the book is Mind-Changing Theory and Strategies That Will Create Real Engagement. Because once you understand this framework, which is super easy to understand, once you get it, it's everywhere. You see it everywhere, and you can't. And that's why Melissa was like, after she read it, she was like, I need the teacher to read it because I need the teacher to understand this framework. It's so easy that once the teacher understands, I have a child in my class who's non-compliant. That means they don't like the task. They don't have a relationship with me, and the extrinsic motivator isn't working for them. Well, how do you get to know what extrinsic motivators work? You build a relationship. That's how. If you know who I am, you know what's going to make me tick. So now I know about you that all I have to do is couch it in, you'll be helping others. And I've got
That's awesome. I love it. And we know Heather loves the Matrix. We have Melissa just said, Megan said, I cannot wait. I love a framework. Like, teachers love anything that they can, like any framework that they can see. Like, that's that's a motivator in itself. So you have a couple more guests knocking at your door, and so we're gonna not only let Sarah make her knocking at the door joke that she always makes when I say that, but we're also going to invite in Daniel and Melanie. So we're gonna get them in here.
Hi.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hi.
Good, yourself?
Hello. So good. Good. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And I noticed that you were down there in the green room, and I'm like, oh, we're almost there. We're almost there. So thank you so much for being patient and waiting. Do you guys want to give us a little introduction on who you are?
Melanie?
Go ahead. No.
You go ahead. Absolutely. Ladies first.
I'm Melanie Kitchen, and I am coordinator for instructional technology. I do staff development and facilitation for teachers around technology integration.
And my name is Dan Wodarczyk, and Melanie and I are co-workers with each other at Erie One BOCES. Melanie is definitely one of my favorite colleagues, and both of us work with technology integration and supporting teachers with technology integration in school districts.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. And so did you guys get a chance to read this book, or what are you thinking about this framework in regards to tech integration and how you're working with teachers?
Absolutely. So, I was in the green room or in the waiting room or whatever where I was, and I'm chomping at the bit and I have like 7 little like sticky notes here, everything that was going on. I was like, I have to talk about that. But I think, one of the things that Dan and I can probably agree on, we agree on a lot. We work very well together. I enjoy working with Dan, as I do Heather. And I think that one of the things is this topic is so relevant right now. It's so important right now with everything that we're doing. I'm getting asked all the time from teachers, how do I get kids to show up? How do I get kids motivated to learn? How do I get them involved? And here's a book. This is all I have to say. Here you go. Here's a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I was reading it, and I told Heather this a couple times that I was reading it, a lot of this, I saw myself in a lot of this. I was that student that you were just discussing. I actually got an education because I did not enjoy school. I thought as a teacher, I I can change things, spice it up a little bit, make it a little bit more fun. I thought that, and engagement's the key word there. I never thought of that word in high school. When I got to college and I had professors use that, I went, yes, that's why I'm here. But the fact is I was a student that I would work for teachers that I really liked, even if I didn't enjoy the content. But if I found a teacher that I liked, along with content that I really cared about, I would find myself researching it after trying to learn more about it. I was telling, and it's all about how does it relate to you, how important is it to you, and what is that's going to suck you in. That was definitely a point that I thought it really spoke to me as I read it, and as you both said, looking at my own children and seeing them within school and seeing what gets them going. It's really a big look at changing the entire, not just pedagogy, but the entire institution of school, because we have this idea of where we want to be, and we get that by using the same format and the same pedagogy in a lot of areas. It's that lecture to can you retain to can you put it out in the assessment. And we really don't, we think about engagement like we were saying before, in that, are you listening? Are you watching what I'm saying? Are you listening to what I'm saying? And then can you show that on the assessment? Engagement is much more than that. Will I take this, enjoy the material, and move on from there and want to learn more about it in the future?
I think to add on
I love
to
that. And
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think, the other piece of that is that relationship building, and that's what we're talking about a lot now. Like, let's not even talk about the content yet. We'll get there. But start with those relationships, because even if the kids aren't interested in the content right now, if we can't get that interest, let's at least get them interested in you, at least get them showing up for you. Let's start there. And them knowing that it matters if they're there or not. You're part of our learning community. This is, all of us together doing this together. So you start there. They start showing up because they want to see their friends. They want to talk to you, all of that. And then we can start introducing the content. And I think it's so important that we start with those relationships. And then we start moving into the engagement strategies, because I do hear a lot. What are the strategies? What are the strategies? Well, let's first understand behind it what that means to be engaged, and then let's start building that and moving forward from there. Because I can understand what everyone's saying. I was compliant. I wasn't super engaged. I definitely wasn't absorbed in school, for sure. And I wish that I had been, and I want my kids to be. So I think for a lot of us as educators, that's also a huge motivator, is wanting our own children to love learning, the way that we do.
I think what's so interesting about what you're making me think about two things, Melanie. The first is that I think a lot of teachers can use the standards and the content as a cop-out for not building relationships and not allowing choice and voice, because they say, oh, my hands are tied by whatever this edict is from on high. And again, I'll go back to the edict is usually not about how you do what you do. It's about what the students are supposed to learn. And there are lots of ways to get really creative and really invite student choice and voice into that. And in fact, when I look at some of these edicts, as I look in the shifts from like with the NGSS and the social studies framework changes and things that are happening, it's not about here, just reiterate what I've told you. It's about, what do you think about what it is we're doing right now, we're hearing, we're seeing. And so this, oh, well, my hands are tied, I think only if you let it be that, and only if that's the lens through which you see it. The other thing it reminds me of is when I was first dating my husband, and I love my husband, but the things that we would do together when we were first together were things that I would never tolerate now. Like, I would go drive 2 hours to hang out with this man, and we would sit and watch like sci-fi movies, and I would never do that now, but I just wanted to spend time with him. Like, I wanted to be around him. And so though it was low for me on the task, it was high for me on the relationship. And he does that for me now when, like, he'll sit, I'm watching, HGTV or something, and he'll sit there on his phone. He wants to be there not because of what I'm watching, but because he's with me. And so we can get people, the relationship matters so much.
I had an instance of that in my one class. It was such like one of those aha moments where the kids teach you more than you've ever taught them, type thing. And I was in fifth grade teacher at the time, and I had looped with my kids and had them for 2 years. And we were working on something, and my student didn't understand it quite well, and we were working on it, and I had sent him back to go, work some more and think about it. And he was supposed to come back to me, and he was super upset. And I'm like, buddy, what's wrong? Like, it's okay. We're working on it. And he said, you're always so proud of me when I get it right away, that I really wanted to make you happy. And I was floored. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what now? And I felt so guilty at first, because I'm like, no, I want you learning for you. Like, I'm proud of you all the time, not just when you get it right away. Like, I'm proud of you when you get it the 15th time. It's okay. But it was interesting to me, because I started to think about how much motivation should be in the relationships that we have. Like the relationships are really important, right? But at some point, that has to veer off a little bit into the task, I think. And so, what do you think about that? About students really relying heavily on that relationship and wanting to please somebody in order to be engaged?
Well, that's a scaffold, right? And so we want to hook them into us so that we can hook them back into themselves. And so that relationship is really important because people will work harder often at first when they don't necessarily understand or like the task to please somebody else. But what the goal should be is to use that as leverage to help them understand the joy of the task and the intrinsic reward that they get for doing that task. But if the task is a ditto, if the task is the same graphic organizer that everybody else is doing, if the task is watch me do this fun experiment, but you only get to watch and you never get to do, don't be surprised that the kids are like checking out, especially if you're a jerk about it. I don't know. We all had some.
Heather, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
You were talking about interest in grades, and I'm wondering if feedback is different from the grade.
Oh my gosh. Well, you already know. So this is this is a conversation we have had more than once. But I wish that there were no such things as grades, because as soon as you put a number on the paper, whatever else you might have provided with feedback becomes invisible. And we have trained kids for that. It boggles my mind that kindergartners get 100%. Like, what do they know about a percent? So I think that feedback is much more important, and that we really need to do a much better job of being thoughtful about formative assessment, because formative assessment never even needs a grade, because you're just building the muscle. And so kids don't, two of my kids play soccer, one of them plays softball. When they go to practice, they don't get a score for the game. They just start practicing. They're learning. And so that's what formative assignments really should be like practice. And we shouldn't be grading practice. And we should be providing lots of feedback so that way they can apply that feedback and use it. And that's the loop, right? I give you feedback. Actually, maybe even I'd love to know what your feedback is on what you were thinking as you did this type of thing. And in the book, there's information about, how to get away from grading.
Yeah, and that's I've often used the analogy of when my kids got their driver's license. Like when I first taught my son to drive, right? Like it was practice, and I gave him feedback all along the way. And when he almost drove up into the neighbor's yard because he stepped on the gas instead of the brake, like I still gave him feedback. I didn't go to his final summative driver's test and say, hey, you need to take off an extra 10 points because back 3 months ago he drove up into our neighbor's lawn. Like it was formative feedback to help him get ready for his final test. And we don't pay nearly enough attention to the power of formative feedback and how it can really help students. We don't teach students how to use it generally. We just tell them how to change instead of having them think about it. And that's an entire show. We need to have everybody back on for another show only on that.
And
Let's do it.
Yeah.
The other part that I know that it hits on in the book, and we're talking about feedback, and feedback's always important, but also that immediate feedback. Are we doing it as we go? So we talk about playing sports. We talk about learning to drive the car. If your son drives onto the lawn, you don't say, listen, I'll let you know next week how it went. you right away. The fact there is a big part of engagement is, are they getting that continual feedback? And also with the grade, the longer that it takes between when I complete the task and when the feedback's actually delivered, the less that feedback means. If you tell me right away, for example, soccer, you should actually be using the side of your foot. Now I can fix that immediately. But if I'm doing a task and I'm doing 20 problems or something like that, and I do it 20 times incorrectly, you would never want a coach to do that in sport. So why as teachers does that happen where I've got kids working on something, but they're not receiving that immediate feedback right there?
But providing kids feedback,
which is the downfall of homework.
If you're assigning the same graphic organizer to every kid, brings teachers to tears. I was a horrible teacher when I first started. I was giving everybody the same assignment, and I was an English teacher. And so I had to read all these same essays, and I was crying, literally crying on the weekend. Right, and I'm like, I'm writing in the margins, like, how do you know? The next paper, how do you know? Like, it was awful. And I should have done better. I was creating that situation where I was demotivating kids, and I was also demotivating myself in that process. But can you imagine, like, what it would do to your relationship if your spouse gave you a grade, like a quarterly grade?
I'm not a fan of feedback in the marriage.
I just have to look from across the room.
I did have to have a conversation with my husband early in our relationship. It was a Valentine's Day. We got our taxes done on Valentine's Day, and he was like, I'm hungry. I think I'm going to go to McDonald's. You want anything? And I'm like, I burst into tears. I sound like I'm a crier. I'm really not. But I'm crying, and I'm like, do I have to lower my expectations? Like, I feel like I'm doing this to myself. But the thing is that, can you imagine if I turned to him and instead said, I think you got an F today? That's not going to be helpful to the relationship.
I just have the feedback that my grade went up a little bit because I haven't offered McDonald's. So.
Yeah, on the ability to get food standard, you receive a, F or whatever it is. Yeah.
It's all based on a rubric. So.
Yes, was the question timely? Was it?
Yeah, right? Dan and Melanie, thank you so much for joining tonight and supporting me in this work. And I can't wait to share your thunder, not steal your thunder, but share your thunder next book.
That was so fantastic to meet you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
I can't believe how fast this hour goes all the time. I'm always so disappointed when it's done. And they have, you had such amazing guests tonight. So that was so much fun. We have to actually pick your winners. So what I do to pick winners for your books is I just scroll through and I randomly stop and I pick the one who's kind of at the top, unless the top is Sarah, or Melody, then I pick somebody else. But otherwise, I'll just kind of scroll through. So I'm going to do that. We're going to pick two winners. The first one is Dave Schmitto. So Dave said, hey, so excited for this. So Dave can find you as one of your winners. We've got one more. So I'm going to scroll through. And it is Liz Zalowski.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you know Liz? Okay. So how can people find you so that they can not only claim their free books for Dave and Liz, but also find you on like website, social media, that kind of thing?
So my website, which I put a lot of effort into, like I'm super proud of it at this point, totally absorbed in the website right now, is lionsletters.com. So that's LYONSLETTERS. And then I'm also on Twitter at Lions Letters. And those are really the two best ways to connect with me. You can also email me at lionsletters@outlook.com. So I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm relatively new to Instagram, so I'm still figuring that all out.
As all of us are about this age.
My daughter teases me all the time because she's like, Twitter's for old people. I'm like, no, that's Facebook. Facebook is for old people.
Yes, Facebook's for the really old people. Twitter's for the old people. Then we have Instagram.
Right.
So, all right. Well, it was such a pleasure having you on today, and I have completely enjoyed this conversation 1,000%. I think we have to have at least another one on feedback, probably another one on grades, probably. Like we need to keep doing this because we have lots of conversations that could be sparked from this. But congratulations, Heather, on your book. I'm so happy for you, and happy book birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. I can't express the gratitude that I feel and how much I am just, this is a lifelong dream come true for me. So it really does feel like giving birth. And so I just am so grateful to the EduMatch family for their support. Like, really, if anybody is ever considering writing a book, you should publish with EduMatch because they have been fantastic. And Sarah is just, I don't call her Sarah anymore. I call her Santa because I feel like she's always bringing me joy and presents.
Yeah, well, we appreciate the plug. Oh, 1,000%. I mean, there is no, Sarah, I call her Sarah. She might legitimately be my favorite person in the whole world. So, I am, from the author standpoint, I'm with you. There's no better person than her. So, yeah, I'm with you 1,000%. But it has been absolutely our pleasure to work with you because you've been so amazing to work with, so much fun, and the book is phenomenal. So we're so happy for you and for EduMatch. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good night, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for being here.